A ramp to freedom. The house breathed of fresh paint and summer promise. Sunlight poured through the expansive living room windows, catching and illuminating the swirling dust motes. Eager to explore, Leo propelled himself forward. The kitchen was vast, the countertops gleaming like polished mirrors. The sink felt almost within reach. "So, what do you think?" His dad beamed from the doorway. "It's immense," Leo admitted honestly. "More than I pictured." But the real marvel lay beyond. The dining room's sliding door opened onto a paved patio which flowed seamlessly onto a gently sloping ramp leading to the welcoming green of the backyard. Not a haphazard fix, but a carefully considered, permanent fixture. Wordless, he steered himself toward it. The gradient was perfect, effortlessly navigable. He rolled onto the lawn, basking in the sun's warmth. Maya, already in residence, dribbled a soccer ball against the fence. She halted, spotting him. "Show off," she ribbed, her eyes twinkling. A wide grin stretched across his face. He could pursue her now, truly chase, no longer confined to watching from behind glass. He felt the give of the grass beneath his tires, the caress of the breeze. The sharp scent of freshly mown grass mingled with the tantalizing whiff of distant barbecues. Later, after Maya retreated inside, Leo lingered on the patio watching the sunset bleed orange and rose across the canvas of the sky. His dad joined him, settling into one of the new chairs. "Thanks, Dad," Leo murmured. His dad draped an arm around his son's shoulders. "For what, buddy?" "For the ramp. For everything." He swept his hand, encompassing the house, the yard, the boundless heavens. I can actually be out here now." "Whenever you want," his dad responded, gently squeezing his shoulder. "This is your ramp, Leo. Your gateway to the world." The Crabtree complaint. The late afternoon sun painted the new ramp in a warm glow. Leo loved the feel of the smooth wood under his wheels, the gentle incline a welcome change from the awkward bump he used to endure. He was practicing a few turns, enjoying the rare moment of solitude when he heard the unmistakable click-clack of Mrs. Crabtree's sensible shoes on the sidewalk. "Young Leo," she said, her voice tight, like a too-small shoe. She planted herself at the foot of the ramp, arms crossed, a human roadblock. "We need to talk about this structure." Leo sighed inwardly. He should have known this piece wouldn't last. "It's a ramp, Mrs. Crabtree. For my wheelchair. I am aware of its intended purpose." However, she adjusted her glasses, which glinted in the sun like shards of ice. "It is simply not in keeping with the aesthetic of the neighborhood. The bylaws are very clear on unauthorized modifications." His dad emerged from the house, wiping his hands on a rag. "Patty, good afternoon. What seems to be the trouble?" "The trouble, Robert, is this eyesore. It clashes with the landscaping. It's rustic. We strive for a certain level of uniformity here, and this ramp completely undermines that." "But Patty," his dad said, his voice calm but firm, "Leo needs it. It's not a cosmetic upgrade, it's a necessity. Necessity or not, rules are rules. I've already had several complaints. It needs to be removed." Her face was set, a granite monument to suburban conformity. "Blocked." Leo zipped his jacket, the cool nylon a welcome contrast to the lingering warmth of the house. The scent of Mom's baking, cinnamon and something nutty, clung to him, a comforting aroma he carried like a shield against the afternoon. He was meeting Marco and Sophia at the park. They were finally going to try that new climbing frame. He rolled towards the door, anticipation of fizzy energy in his chest. He pressed the button to activate the ramp. The familiar were a soundtrack to his freedom. But as the ramp extended, a jarring sight stopped him cold. Mrs. Crabtree's battleship gray sedan was parked directly in front of it, a metal barrier against his plans. Steam curled from its tailpipe, the acrid smell stinging his nostrils. He could see her inside, a hunched silhouette behind the wheel. Leo maneuvered closer, his heart sinking with each rotation of his wheels. "Mrs. Crabtree," he called out, his voice tight. The woman didn't react. He tried again, louder this time, but she remained motionless, an unyielding obstacle. He felt a wave of frustration wash over him, hot and prickly. He was trapped. The park, the climbing frame, his friends, all inaccessible because of a carelessly parked car. He wanted to yell, to bang on the window, but he knew it wouldn't do any good. Mrs. Crabtree was a force of nature, and right now that force was blocking his path. He slumped back in his chair, the scent of cinnamon now a mocking reminder of the warmth he was missing outside. Feeling stuck, Leo slumped against the worn armchair, the springs groaning under his weight. He stared at the muted colors of the living room rug, each thread a tiny strand of his unraveling patience. "It's not fair, Dad," he mumbled, his voice thick with unshed tears. "I hate being inside." His dad, sitting on the edge of the coffee table, ran a hand through his already disheveled hair. "I know, buddy. I know it's tough. Outside, the sounds of other kids laughing echoed faintly through the closed windows. Leo pictured them on their bikes, carving trails in the dirt, the sun warm on their faces. A pang of longing twisted in his stomach. He missed the feel of the wind whipping through his hair, the satisfying crunch of gravel under his sneakers. Now, the only sounds were the hum of the refrigerator and the distant drone of traffic. Mrs. Crabtree thinks she can control everything, Leo continued, his voice rising in frustration. It's like we're prisoners in our own house. His dad's jaw tightened, a muscle ticking in his cheek. He stood up abruptly and walked to the window, peering out at their small, fenced-in yard. She won't win, Leo, he said, his voice low and gravelly. I promise you she won't. But Leo saw the worry etched on his face, the helpless anger simmering beneath the surface. His dad could fix almost anything, but this felt different, bigger. Like a storm gathering on the horizon, threatening to engulf them all. Maya's idea. Maya stared out the kitchen window, chewing on her thumbnail. Mrs. Crabtree's lawn resembled a forgotten jungle. Dandelions flaunted their yellow heads, vines snaked across the porch railing, and a rogue soccer ball, deflated and half-buried, lay near a rusty swing set. It's a biohazard, Maya muttered, more to herself than Leo, who was meticulously constructing a Lego spaceship at the table. What is? Leo asked, without looking up. Mrs. Crabtree's yard. It's like, abandoned. A thought sparked in Maya's mind, fizzing like static electricity. Hey, Dad said she's always complaining about everyone else's houses, right? Maybe she's breaking some HOA rules herself. Leo finally glanced up, intrigued. HOA rules? Like what? I don't know. That's what we need to find out. Maya grabbed her laptop from the counter. Come on, let's see if we can find the neighborhood bylaws online. Their dad walked in, drawn by the rustling of papers. What's all the commotion? Mrs. Crabtree's yard is a mess, Maya declared. And I bet she's violating some HOA regulations. We're going to find them. He raised an eyebrow. Intriguing. I haven't seen those bylaws in years. They should be somewhere in the attic, probably buried under a mountain of old Christmas decorations. He paused, a thoughtful expression on his face. All right, let's see what we can dig up. It's about time someone gave Patty Crabtree a taste of her own medicine. Digging up dirt? Okay, team, Dad announced, swiveling his laptop towards Maya and Leo at the kitchen table. Operation Digging Up Dirt on Crabtree is officially underway. Maya stifled a giggle. Leo, however, was all business. Did you find anything? A gold mine, Dad declared, scrolling through the HOA regulations. Apparently, Mrs. Crabtree's pristine lawn isn't so pristine. See here? Regulation 3. 2b. All hedges must be maintained at a height no greater than 3 feet. He pointed to a clause in bold print. Her hedges are definitely pushing for. Maya leaned closer. And what about that rickety fence? It looks like it's about to collapse. Dad scrolled again. Bingo. Section 4. 1a. Fences must be structurally sound and free from rot or decay. Let's get pictures, Maya urged, already grabbing her jacket. The setting sun cast long shadows across the manicured lawns of Willow Creek. A cool breeze rustled the leaves. The Crabtree property loomed, an island of perfectly arranged discontent. Dad pulled out his phone. All right, document everything. But be discreet. We don't want to alert the enemy. They crept along the sidewalk, snapping photos of overgrown hedges, peeling paint, and a leaning mailbox. The air hung thick with the sweet scent of freshly cut grass, a stark contrast to the Crabtree property's aura of neglect beneath its veneer of order. Maya zoomed in on a patch of moss growing on the north side of the house, a tiny rebellion against Patty's iron rule. This was going to be easier than they thought. The complaint. The kitchen table, usually a chaotic landscape of homework and half-finished art projects, was now command central. Leo's dad, Mr. Maxwell, meticulously aligned the typed pages of the formal complaint. Maya hovered, pointing to the attached photographs. Each one documented a specific violation: the overflowing garbage cans, the unmowed lawn reaching biblical proportions, the unauthorized shed encroaching on the property line. Regulation 3. 2b clearly states all refuse must be contained within approved receptacles, Mr. Maxwell recited, adjusting his glasses. And Exhibit approves Mrs. Crabtree's creative interpretation of that rule. Maya winced. Creative is one word for it. Disgusting is another. She tapped the photo of the rat brazenly perched on a trash bag. Mr. Maxwell sighed, running a hand through his thinning hair. Let's just stick to the facts, Maya. We want to be taken seriously. He added the final photo, a close-up of the crumbling brickwork, highlighted to show its structural instability. This, according to the city inspector, violates Safety Codes 17. 4 and 17. 9. He sealed a thick envelope. All right, let's get this delivered. The HOA office was a sterile beige box. The receptionist, a woman whose name ag read Brenda, accepted the envelope with a practiced, almost bored, expression. Complaint against Mrs. Crabtree, Mr. Maxwell stated, his voice firm. Brenda barely glanced up. We'll process it. She dropped the envelope into a wire basket overflowing with similar packets. Maya felt a surge of frustration. Would their carefully documented complaint just disappear into the bureaucratic abyss? As they walked out, Maya glanced back. Brenda was already filing her nails, the envelope all but forgotten. The weight of the fight ahead settled heavy in Maya's stomach. Double down. The crisp, official letter felt like a slap. Patty Crabtree's manicured nails drummed a furious tattoo on her mahogany dining table as she reread the HOA violation notice. Unapproved landscaping alteration, excessive gnome deployment. The audacity. Those gnomes were charming, each meticulously placed to complement her prize-winning petunias. She marched across the street, the letter clutched in her hand like a weapon. Leo was on his ramp, sunlight glinting off the metal. Maxwell, she barked, her voice sharp enough to curdle milk. This monstrosity has to go. Now. I received a violation notice, and I'm sure your eyesore contributed. Leo's smile faltered. Maya, watering the petunias, stiffened. Mrs. Crabtree, we have approval, Maya said, her voice tight. Patty sneered. Approval can be revoked. I want it gone by sundown. She turned to leave, then added, and tell your son to find somewhere else to play. He's attracting undesirable elements. A dark blue sedan pulled up. An inspector, clipboard in hand, approached Mrs. Crabtree. Patricia Crabtree? He asked, his tone all business. We received an anonymous tip regarding structural irregularities. He gestured toward the hairline cracks snaking up Patty's pristine stucco. Mind if I take a look? Patty's face paled. She sputtered, there's nothing wrong with my house. The inspector raised an eyebrow. That's what they all say. He pointed to a section where the paint was subtly bulging. And that looks suspiciously like water damage. He pulled out a small mallet and tapped lightly on the stucco. A dull thud echoed. Definitely something rotten under here. Freedom returns. The moving van lumbered down the street, dwarfing Mrs. Crabtree's meticulously manicured lawn. Yellow tape crisscrossed her front door. A stark contrast to the pristine white paint she usually fussed over. Leo watched from his window, a knot of complicated feelings twisting in his stomach. He saw Mrs. Crabtree emerge, her face a mask of tightly controlled fury, clutching a chipped porcelain cat. She didn't look back as the van pulled away. Later, Maya wheeled Leo onto the ramp. The sun warmed his face, and the smooth incline was a welcome change from the bumpy detour he'd been forced to take. He propelled himself down, the wind whipping through his hair. He laughed, a sound that had been absent for weeks. Freedom! He shouted, feeling the pure joy of movement. Maya grinned, chasing after him. That evening, after Maya had gone to bed, Leo sat by the window. The yellow tape was gone, but Mrs. Crabtree's house still looked empty and forlorn. He thought about her, about the porcelain cat, and the way she always seemed so angry. He hadn't understood why she'd been so determined to block his ramp. He still didn't, not really. But he understood now that sometimes standing up for what was right meant that someone else might get hurt, even if it wasn't your intention. It was a heavy feeling, but it also felt important. He knew with a certainty that settled deep in his bones that he would do it again.